Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Dr. Varghese Ophthalmology Tutorials. Hope this series of question and answer is helpful for your theory exams. I have completed most of the questions from conjunctiva and the corneal topics. You can see the link in the description box. Okay. So now we will start with the chapter Neuro-ophthalmology. The lesions of the visual pathway is the most frequently asked question in your theory exam. So they will ask like write a neat diagram of the visual pathway and write the lesions and the corresponding field effects of the visual pathway. So this is most frequently asked question. So without much delay, let's begin our today's video on visual pathway lesions. Okay. Since this is just a question and answer type of series, I will not be explaining everything in detail in this video. Okay. This is only just to guide you to how to write in the exams. Just will highlight what to write in the exam if the question is asked. Okay. So as you all know, this is the visual pathway diagram. So write this neat diagram of the visual pathway. Start with eyes. So from the temporal and the nasal part, the optic disc and then the optic nerve will run. And then there is crossing of the nasal fibers at the chiasma. Okay. And these nasal fibers, when they travel through the optic nerve, before crossing in the chiasma, they will just move towards the optic nerve a little, and this is called as the von Willebrand's knee, and then they continue in the optic tract. So the optic tract will have the temporal fibers of the eye and the nasal fibers of the other eye. So this is optic tract, optic chiasma, optic nerve. At the lateral geniculate body, they will relay and then the optic radiations will come and these are projected onto the occipital cortex. This is in brief about the anatomy of the visual pathway. Optic nerve, chiasma, von Willebrand's knee of the nasal fibers of the optic nerve, optic tract, lateral geniculate nucleus, optic radiations and then the occipital cortex. Okay. So let's see what happens whenever there is lesions in the visual pathway. The first lesion is the lesion at the optic nerve. Suppose something is wrong here. So what will happen? So when there is a lesion in the optic nerve, write the corresponding diagram like this. So there is complete loss of vision in this eye. Okay. The other eye is completely normal. Affected eye will lose its vision completely. So write this diagram and then give little bit explanation about each lesion. Okay. So if there is a lesion at the optic nerve, patient will have complete blindness on the affected side. There is no direct light reflex as well as there is no indirect or the consensual light reflex on the other side. So the diagram is there is no vision in the affected eye. What are the causes for the optic nerve lesions? Optic atrophy, there can be traumatic avulsion of the optic nerve or even the ischemic optic neuropathy. Next, moving on to the chiasmal lesion. So where is the chiasma here? So this whole thing is called as chiasma, right? So you can divide the chiasmal lesions into anterior chiasmal lesions, those who involving the middle part of the chiasma, and then those which are involving the distal part of the chiasma. So what are the causes for chiasmal lesions? Write in common what are the causes, like there can be glioma, multiple sclerosis, pituitary adenoma, craniopharyngiomas, meningiomas, lymphoid hypophysitis and even the sarcoidosis. So as I told, there can be anterior chiasmal lesion, that is at this level. So here there can be involvement of the von Willebrand's knee, right? So the patients will have, what is the lesion you get here if there is von Willebrand's knee involvement? So we get what is known as junctional scotoma whenever there is anterior chiasmal lesion. That is nothing but the scotoma in the affected eye and the temporal hemianopic defect in the other eye. Okay. So this is the anterior chiasmal lesion. So here patient will have ipsilateral optic nerve fibers and the contralateral inferonasal fibers at the von Willebrand's knee which are affected. So patient will have junctional scotoma, that is central scotoma in one eye and the temporal hemianopia in the other eye. So the next affection is the middle part of the optic chiasma, that is the body of the optic chiasma. So whenever the center of the chiasma is involved, that too from the medial side, the patient will have bitemporal hemianopia. So this is the field effect what you get whenever there is middle chiasmal lesions. So this involves mainly the decussitating fibers in the body of the sphenoid. So there is bitemporal hemianopia with a bitemporal hemianopic pupillary reflexes which are last. Okay. The next is the posterior chiasmal lesion. Here if there is posterior chiasmal lesion, the patient will have bitemporal hemianopia. Okay, so this is the posterior chiasmal lesion which is having bitemporal hemianopia. So in the posterior chiasmal lesion, patient will have paracentral bitemporal field defect, visual acuity and the color vision is preserved. So these were the chiasmal lesions which were from the center. Okay, if there is something which is approaching the chiasma from the periphery like this, okay, that is called as the lateral chiasmal lesion. So in this case, the patient will have the lateral chiasmal lesion. In this case, the patient will have what is known as binasal type of field defect. In both the eyes, on the nasal side, there is field defect, that is called as binasal field defect in lateral chiasmal lesion. So this is little bit about the lateral chiasmal lesion, where the patient will have binasal hemianopia with a binasal hemianopic paralysis of the pupillar reflex. The causes are like if there is distension of the third ventricle, which leads to pressure on each side of the chiasma. The causes can be like atheroma of the carotids or the posterior communicating artery. Now moving on to the retrochiasmal lesions. Retrochiasma, that is anything behind the chiasma, that is involving the optic tract or the lateral geniculate body or the optic radiations or the occipital lesion. So anything which involves beyond the chiasma have one thing in common, that is they will always have contralateral homonymous hemianopia. So in the retrochiasmal lesions, that is involvement of either optic tract, lateral geniculate nucleus, optic radiations or the occipital lobe. So the common thing for this retrochiasmal lesion is, so there is contralateral homonymous hemianopic defect. Means if the right side is affected, patient will have the lesion on the left side, that is left half of the visual field. This thing is common, that is contralateral homonymous hemianopia, but the form of homonymous hemianopia will differ depending upon the site of lesion. Okay, so if there is optic tract involvement, as I told, patient will have contralateral homonymous hemianopia first. Okay, so the causes for the optic tract lesions are like demyelinating disease and the infarction. There can be pituitary adenomas, craniopharyngioma, syphilitic meningitis, gammas, tubercular meningitis. So these are various causes for optic tract involvement. Clinically, patient will have incongruous type of homonymous hemianopia. There can be contralateral hemianopic pupillary response. Optic disc changes may appear in the optic disc. Visual acuity may or may not be normal depending upon the site and the density of involvement. There can be even associated ipsilateral third nerve palsy or the ipsilateral hemiplegia. This is about the lesions of the optic tract. Next, if there is a lesion at the lateral geniculate nucleus, again the patient will have contralateral homonymous hemianopia, as I told, only the form of involvement will vary. That is incongruous type of involvement in case of LGN, that is lateral geniculate nucleus affection. Homonymous hemianopia which is incongruous with normal pupillar reflex and the optic disc pallor due to partial descending atrophy of the nerve fibers. Next, coming to the lesions of the optic radiation. So the lesions of the optic radiations vary depending upon which lobe is involved, whether it's the parietal lobe involvement or the temporal lobe involvement. So if the temporal lobe is involved, the patient will have what is known as pie in sky appearance, that is superior quadrantenopia, that is contralateral homonymous superior quadrantenopia. If the patient is having parietal lobe involvement, then they will have what is known as pie in the floor, that is nothing but contralateral inferior quadrantenopia. Okay, that is pie in the floor. So the lesions of the optic radiation, the causes can be either vascular occlusion, tumors or the trauma. So depending upon the site, just remember these two mnemonics, SIT and the SPF. SIT is easy to remember, I think. T is for the temporal lobe, S for just remember sky. So pie in the sky, temporal lobe in that inferior fibers. So all this will lead to what is known as superior quadrant hemianopia. That is temporal lobe involvement, inferior fibers affection leading to pie in the sky appearance. Next, inferior quadrantic hemianopia, SPF, sun protection factor. Girls will be very much familiar with this. So here remember F for floor, okay, P for parietal lobe, where the superior fibers are affected. So superior fiber affection in the parietal lobe lead to what is known as pie in the floor. Here again the pupillary reflexes are spare. Optic disc atrophy will not occur in case of optic radiation affection. Okay. So next, what happens if there is visual cortex defect? So that depends upon which area of the visual cortex is affected. So in case of visual cortex affection, there is visual field defect as well as other manifestations of occipital lobe affection. There is congruous homonymous hemianopia sparing the macula whenever the posterior cerebral artery is occluded. Okay, and there can be congruous homonymous macular defect only in the lesions of occipital cortex tip. Okay, if the tip of the occipital cortex is affected, this is the type of lesion what you get. It is seen in head injury and the gunshot injuries. And there can be bilateral homonymous macular defect presenting like bilateral central scotoma in case of bilateral occipital cortex lesion. So just write these three diagrams and mention the causes. So other manifestation whenever there is occipital cortex involvement are, there can be cortical blindness, dyschromatopsia, palinopsia, visual anesthesia and polyopsia. Okay. So whenever this question on the lesions of the visual pathway is asked, write this diagram and write the corresponding field effects on the other side and give little bit explanation which I told just now. So hope this video is helpful to all of you. If you like my videos, please do subscribe to my channel. Press the bell icon for further notifications. Please do like and share my videos. Thank you so much.